It's the middle of the night. Bobby's sick, he's trembling, he had some shots yesterday. I think he had a reaction, so we're going to the pet ER. 208. So, the throwing up was caused by nausea. So he's got some anti-nausea medicine, and he should be fine. But better safe than sorry. And we got to contribute to the economic health of the pet emergency clinic, which I'm happy about. I'm happy they're here. It's a nice place. Sometimes I think instead of calling this a vlog, we should call it Videos Made in Ray's Car. Because I feel like that's where I always am. I'm off to work out. I thought about using an excuse, telling Matt that, hey, you know, my dog was up at 1 o'clock in the morning sick. We took him to the emergency pet clinic. We were there all night. But you know what? I'm still going to crush it in my workout. Still going to crush it. So no excuses. No excuses. Living it to the max. And later I want to talk about, I'm just reminding myself, this is a note to self. I want to talk about why I'm doing what I'm doing with the vlog, why I'm documenting so much of my real life now instead of just putting out marketing stuff, and why it's important and who it's important to. So that's all coming up. Right now I got to drive, so I got to turn this thing off. I'm running so close on time this morning, I've got to do the green room mastermind call from the house. I usually do it from the office. So I'm in Lynn's office. Lynn and I obviously have different working styles. That's what's beautiful about a marriage. You complement one another. See what I did there?
Pat, can you hear us? Hey, Ray. Pat, your video is vertical. Are you on your phone or something?
I'm on my phone, yeah.
Is it okay if I record you recording us being recorded? Okay, here's the deal. Here's what we're talking about today. Sean and I were having a discussion about how when people have an opinion that they talk about a lot, and they do it loudly and emphatically, like they're trying to convince you of something. It's a political opinion, or it's a social opinion, or a socioeconomic issue. These are all the sensitive things that I don't want to get into the specific issues because it's not about that. It's about this phenomena that when people, let's use diet. That's one I think is pretty safe I can use. You know, when somebody gets on this kick of a certain way of eating, it's like they become evangelists about it, and they do their best to convince everybody who will listen to them that the ketogenic diet is the way to eat, or the paleo diet is the way to eat, it's the way we were meant to eat, or the vegan diet, that's how you must eat. Okay, Sean's observation was, whenever people do that, I feel like they're trying to convince themselves more than they're trying to convince other people. And the more we discussed it back and forth, I kind of pushed back against that idea for a bit, but I realized he's right. Think about it. How many people do you know who started a new diet, or joined a new church, or got involved in a new political movement, or got a new idea in their head about some social issue, and suddenly that's all they talked about all the time, and you just felt like they were pushing it too hard? Did you ever say to one of those people, "You trying to convince me, or you trying to convince yourself?" That's a clue. You really sensed what was really going on. They're trying to convince themselves. So where does that come from? I think it comes from a certain amount of self-doubt. I think it also comes from a certain amount of wanting to be approved of by your friends, making sure that your friends buy into the idea that you have now bought into, because otherwise you feel alienated from your community. But there's more to it than that. I don't think this is, in the context of the discussion that Sean and I were having, we were basically talking about the negative aspects of this phenomena, like that maybe you shouldn't do that if you weren't really sure of your conviction about an idea. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized, well, there's also a good side to this. There's a positive expression of this same phenomena. And that is when you have carefully, rationally thought out your position on something, and you've made a decision that this is what I believe about this issue, or this is what I believe about how to eat, or how to live, or my philosophy of life, or my religion, whatever the case may be. I'm just saying that if you can give a rational explanation of why your beliefs or ideas or opinions about this particular subject or issue or practice are sound, and if they stand up to the test of logic and reason, then maybe voicing them to people in a way that commits you to that idea is not such a bad thing. Maybe it is about convincing yourself. No, it's less about convincing yourself than it is about committing yourself to that idea. Tony Robbins talks about getting leverage on yourself, and what he means is do things, if you're going to make a change in your behavior or your beliefs, do things that will really make you committed to sticking with that new belief or that new behavior. So if you're going to commit yourself, for instance, to not eating sugar and flour, and you're going to make that big dietary change, Tony says it's a good idea to tell everybody what you're doing, because that way everybody will hold you accountable. If they see you eating a piece of pie, they're like, whoa, wait a minute. You said you weren't going to eat sugar or flour, you're eating both. What's up with you? You didn't keep your word. So Tony says that's leverage on yourself to stick by your decision. That can backfire because you can just spiral into shame, and that's a whole other discussion. But I do think the idea of having leverage on yourself is a good idea. It's accountability. It's really what the recovery movement is founded upon. You get together with people and you say, I'm not going to drink anymore, I'm not going to drug anymore, and you say it to a group of people who are going to hold you accountable. They're going to know if you foul up, and you do it anyway. So they're going to help get you back on track because you committed to a bunch of people that you're going to change this behavior in your life. So I think there's actually a good expression of being vocally committed to something in a way that leverages your own behavior so that you want to be in alignment with your stated values so that people around you understand you mean what you say and you say what you mean. I think that's a good thing. When it becomes pathological and a problem is when you're really not convinced of the idea. You haven't done all the reasoning, all the logic work behind the scenes to uphold this belief or this opinion that you now have. You just accepted the belief and now you're trying to rationalize it after the fact. That's dangerous territory because rationalizing is, we'll break down the word. What does it mean? Rational lies. You don't want to fall into that trap. So all I'm saying is if you're going to be vocal about a new belief or a new diet or a new practice or a new philosophy or a new political idea, just think it through carefully and make sure your reasoning is sound before you start talking about it to other people. And modulate the amount of time and energy you spend talking about this new diet, for instance, because just to be honest with you, people get tired of hearing about it. Don't talk about it unless they ask, and even if they ask, be careful about how much and how long you go on, because people are only interested to a certain extent. If they keep asking questions, you can keep answering, but learn to edit yourself, learn to monitor other people's reactions. If they start looking toward the door, their feet start shifting away from you, their eyes are darting around the room, it's a good hint to talk about something else now. So I don't know if any of this was helpful, but if you have any thoughts on this, I'd love to hear them. Put them in the comments below. And I'm here to help inspire you to live a rich life. Not to get rich necessarily, although I got nothing against that, but to live a rich life. If that sounds appealing, I would invite you to subscribe to the channel, blah, 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 you know the deal, hit the bell, comment on this stuff, be involved. It's a community. We love each other. And I mean that. I don't mean to disregard that. You know the deal. Click the bell, comment on stuff, participate in this community, because in the end, it's all about the community. If it's not about that, it's about nothing at all. Until next time, may you have long life and prosperity and peace. Out. Roll the music.